I'm back. Hey, guess who's back? Welcome. I'm not going to wait for this to build or grow. I'm just going to get right to it because this video is about we, the parents, and our children. This video is not about politics. It's not about the election. It's not about voting or any of that stuff. It's about just some experiences that we've had as parents. I'm Matt Dubiel, and I'm a father of four. I'm married to Michelle. We're going on 21 years of marriage. And we have three kids that are still in the school system. And I've run into a lot of parents across Illinois, and especially in the area I live in, Naperville, where we moved. We moved from Downers Grove, Westmont to Naperville for lower taxes and better schools. And we're currently getting neither. And that's been the case for a lot of people during COVID because e-learning and other things. But we've been experiencing the problem in the education system as parents of for young children. Now they're getting older, obviously, dating back to 2016 and even before then. And I want to share some of the things that we learned and what we're doing about it. And there's a solution or two that you may want to consider as parents. I know there are a lot of parents out there that are considering other options. There's a lot of talk about school choice. And some parents don't feel like they have a lot of options, but there is just a teaser. There is a new school coming to about 2 blocks from my house in Naperville that we're very excited about. And but we've been through it all. We've done public school. We did private school. We did homeschooling before COVID even happened. I pulled both of my boys out of school and I homeschooled them personally. And we also did public school. Did I say that already? So I just want to share some experiences. There's going to be people out there that tell you that there is no critical race theory in schools, or there's no SEL in schools, or that these concepts and sort of re-education of consciousness, re-education and rewriting of history isn't happening. It's been our experience as parents that it is happening in the schools. It's not as extreme in some cases as you're hearing in some areas, and then in some ways it's more extreme. So there's definitely a bunch of stuff happening in the elementary school, which concerns me the most, because, you know, they say research and studies say that your children are kind of already who they are by the time they're 8 years old. And obviously that's different for each child, but the formative years are formative and they're very important. So we ran into some of those issues, and I'm just going to tell you a quick story about my son Rocco. He was going to elementary school at our local school in the neighborhood. One school, and we were very involved. My wife was in the PTA. I would volunteer at the school all the time. We were there a lot. We spearhead dances. I would DJ the dances and volunteer, and we would do field days and everything. And we noticed things change at the school a few years back, where the faculty and the administration sort of changed. And we started hearing about things in school. Some of these surveys, they started watching Disney movies in class to kill time. There were some things happening in the lunchroom. And thank God for us that our children communicate with us directly and openly, and we have great relationships. We sit down and we have dinner together, and we talk, and they tell us about their day. And it's a gift and a blessing for us as parents, but it's also vital for us to know what's happening. And so the kids would start to tell us about, oh, well, we watched this Monsters, Inc. in class. And so I would ask, you know, we wouldn't fly off the handle, but I'd say, well, was it tied into something? Was it tied into like some kind of science fair project or some reward for something else? And a lot of times we'd find out that, no, that's just the way it was. And then we'd hear some other little things, or some questionnaire would be administered in class, or there would be a discussion. Or we found out when they got to middle school that they were watching CNN student news. CNN student news was being broadcast to our children in middle school. And if you've ever seen CNN student news, it is government, private industry produced propaganda. And it's a lot of times issues and ideas that young children don't even need to be thinking about. And it's from a skewed, slanted perspective. rather than here's what's happening in the world, you make the call. We're big proponents of teaching the children how to think, teaching the children how to learn, not teaching them what to think. So we started learning about some of this stuff, and I did some shadowing days. So please share this with any parents that you know. I see somebody tagged, they tagged, Diana tagged Sherry Tucci. And Sherry is a fierce advocate for many things, but students and children is one of those things. And so my hat is off to Sherry Tucci. She's fantastic. Any other parents that you know that are plugged into these concepts and ideas and the problems in our education system, please tag parents, because parents are foisted into this and trying to figure out what to do with this and everything. We're living in a time where you have to figure out where to get baby formula, and you have to bag your own groceries, and you have to do everything for yourself. And it gets overwhelming. So I'm just sharing our perspective as parents in what's happened. So CNN Student News is being shown, and I watched some of these, and you can still see some of them on YouTube. They might be archived, and you'll see that they have definitely, thanks Diana for sharing this with all these moms, they have an agenda even when it comes to world events and world affairs, where they're skewing the perspective of these world events to indoctrinate the children in a way of thinking. Now, I don't want my kids watching CNN even when I'm in the room, but I certainly don't want them watching it at school. I don't want the president or any politician speaking to my children without me there. I definitely don't want them doing that at school. And they're doing this at school. And they are going around the room. Hey, Kristen Coppers is running for regional superintendent of schools. And if you're in her area, please find her and make sure that you can vote for her if possible, because she is a fierce advocate for children and a fierce advocate for education and what is right and what is good in the world. And we need more people like her. The school board, the school administrations are overseen, and the school boards ultimately have to answer to regional superintendents of schools. Very important. So I don't want government officials, and I don't want nonprofits and NGOs talking to my kids when I'm not there. I don't want my kids being asked about, we got a survey from my son, Kristen's on lunch. Oh, Grundy and Kendall County. So if you're in Grundy and Kendall County, Kristen Coppers is the person that you want to vote for regional superintendent of schools. Ann Toledo says illegal aliens have baby formula because they are future Democratic voters. Yes, there's a lot going on in our schools. And one of the issues in the school system, besides the CNN Student News, and then you have these surveys that are happening. We got the survey for Anthony, who at the time was in middle school. This was around 2015, 2016. And the survey asked Anthony if he had thought about sniffing glue, among other things. It's very creepy and very a lot of grooming in the survey, which I know is being thrown around a lot. But my son didn't know what sniffing glue was until he read it in the survey at school. That was coming on the heels of another incident. So that was middle school in Naperville 204. Then we go to elementary school in Naperville 204, and I find out from another one of my children, because we have 4, they're all over the place, strategically placed in the school system and in our lives, thank God. We find out from my one of my kids at elementary school that there was a big discussion with the principal about pole dancing. So the principal saw fit to talk to the students about the concept of pole dancing, and it was because there were some things going on at recess. The judgment of these people in these schools is completely skewed. So this stuff was already on our radar. Then we start looking at the actual curriculum, and the children are coming home with their Common Core math, and we're trying to show them how to do their math, and they're telling us this is not how you do math. And now we have tears at the kitchen table, and a lot of parents know what this was like in 2013 through about 2019, where you're at the kitchen table with your kids. They're trying to figure out the wrong way to do math that's being taught to them by the school system. You're trying to show them how to do math, which works, and there's this disconnect. and a wedge driven between the parents and the children. And the children are frustrated and they're crying, and the parents are frustrated because the school system and the Department of Education is foisting this stuff down the road. And it's creating this division and this confusion, which ultimately generates brain damage in children, confusion, and adults. Confusion leads to a state of brain damage, and it's not healthy for children that should be encouraged and supported and enticed for what is right and what is good in the education system. So Common Core math happened. Then we get a call. I get a call. I was working from home. Thank God I work from home 5 minutes or less from the school. And my other son, who's in elementary school, has been assaulted by a kid in class. And I don't know what grade he was in at the time. He might have been in second or third or fourth grade, right around there. And the principal actually lied to me on the phone and told me that it was, one strike from the other kid, and the circumstances were one way. I immediately went to the school, and my son had welts all over his face. He had been struck multiple times by this other individual. And this child was on a special program. And I think they call it like an IEP or something like that. The kid was also, a lot of these kids that are on the special programs are on special medication. And this boy apparently can't control his behavior. Everybody agreed that my son didn't do anything to provoke him. He didn't hit him. He didn't say anything to him. Not that saying anything should provoke a strike like that. This kid just flew off the handle. We addressed this with the school, with the administrator, with the teacher. Why was the kid left alone with no adult supervision? What is going on in the school? What the heck is happening? And we were met with friction by all of the admin, all the way up to the administration and the superintendent. And it occurred to me then that this was not the place for my children. This place was becoming evil. These people lied to me to my face and told me that one thing happened when it was really another thing. And then we asked for this person that assaulted my son, unprovoked, that that child be moved. And we were told that kid couldn't and wouldn't be moved. They wouldn't do anything about it. And they treated us as though we were the problem. And then we became ostracized in the community, and we became ostracized in the school. I haven't really talked about this much since it happened. And it was a pretty emotional time for all of us, because then we had to make decisions about, well, what are we going to do for school? And we pulled my son out of the school, and we started looking for private schools in a community where we're already paying a lot for property taxes for public schools. And that became a whole other process. And all that to say is that these school systems, I know there's a lot of good teachers out there, and this isn't an indictment on teachers. There are great teachers, and teachers, there's nothing like a great teacher. We've all had a great teacher in our life. We've also all had crappy teachers in our lives. And I'm not here to blame the teachers, because in this situation, it's the administration and it's the bureaucracy that surrounds it, and it's the agenda of the schools. Fast forward to a couple years later, we're getting ready. We didn't know COVID was coming. And I realized that there's not great things happening in the high school, and my boys are not learning what it takes to be commonsensical and confident and be a man. And so I pulled my senior out of high school, in one of the highest rated high schools in the state, maybe even in the country for a period of time. And I pulled my other son out of middle school, and we started doing basic math as I homeschooled them personally back here in the office. And my boys were not able to handle basic problem solving in math that they should have been handling years before at basic levels of math. They were being taught algebra and college algebra and trig and things that they're never going to use. But when it came to figuring out a balance sheet or interest rates or invoices or basic common sense life skills, and I refer to them sometimes as life math, they couldn't figure it out. And so I was grateful and relieved to have gotten them out of that school system and home with me so that we could go over things 1-to-1 and sometimes 1-to-2 and go through things systematically and talk and problem solve and sort of get back to ground zero. So it was a blessing in disguise because this predated the COVID shutdowns and e-learning. So my kids, my two boys were already at home. The girls wanted to stay in school, and my daughter wanted to stay in high school, and so she did. And we resumed school after e-learning, and my daughter tells me that she's going around the room and they're asking her what her pronouns are, and all the students in class. I think they did that in 3 or 4 classes after in-person learning resumed. They went around the room and talked about their pronouns. That's on the heels of having to write a paper about George Floyd during the COVID e-learning, where the perspective was that George Floyd and the George Floyd travesty, the loss of a life, of course, is a travesty, that it was somehow racially motivated, and the sources they had to use for that opinion in English class were CNN and ABC. Now, my 2 middle children are in public high school, and there are flyers at the public high school with a QR code and an email address asking what students are concerned about gender-neutral bathrooms and would like gender-neutral bathrooms. That's on the freshman campus. The freshman campus still has about 15 to 20% of students wearing masks, even though it has a 99.97 survival rate. And now my video will go down because I said the word mask. The senior campus is promoting woke agendas, and the students in the senior campus are promoting woke agendas. And I'm not just saying that as lip service and rhetoric. It's happening in the schools, and we get constant examples coming back from our children who are telling us specifically about what's happening and the history that's being taught and the world affairs that are being taught without objectivity. So our school system and the curriculum in the school system from an education standpoint is lacking. And our school system and our education system from a social standpoint is lacking. And so now the question is what do we do? We know what the problems are, some of us. And now there's pornographic material. Now we have genderqueer and some of these other books in the libraries, and some of it in the assigned reading. And some of the stuff is material I couldn't read on the radio because it would violate FCC standards. Parents can't read it at the school board meetings because the school board will say, well, that's not appropriate to discuss. And yet it's being taught, planted in the fertile grounds of the garden of our children's minds. I think that if you're watching this, we can agree that our mind, even as adults, but definitely the mind of a child is like a garden, and you can plant a seed in there, and whatever you plant, whatever seed you plant, that's what's going to grow. And if you plant seeds of goodness and wholesomeness and patriotism and common sense and respect for your fellow man, no matter what they look like or what they sound like or where they're from, that's what's going to be grown and cultivated. But if you plant seeds of hate and division and nonsense, you're going to grow that. And that's what's happening in our public schools. It's also happening in our private schools. And so then the question is what do we do? So during COVID, we were e-learning my youngest, who is in second and third grade. And we made the decision as parents that we would not send our daughter, our youngest, and most impressionable, closest to the age of 7, 8, 9 years old, where you're still figuring out who you are and what you're about and formulating your identity as a human being. We're not going to send her to the place where they're making them wear their coats at lunchtime to make it more convenient for the lunch ladies. And they're crammed into a table and they're being told to hurry up like they're in prison. And then they're being foisted from room to room with coats on because they don't have a place to put the coats because of COVID. And then they have to wear a mask, and they're being shoved from place to place to place. Or the high schools where they're not allowed to have lockers anymore. So they're all carrying all their books, and they're not wearing coats to school because they can't carry the coat and carry the bags, and they don't have lockers. So now during a health crisis, the children aren't wearing coats in the winter, but they're wearing masks. Some children are wearing flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts walking outside in 20-degree weather with a 5-degree wind chill, but they're wearing a mask. The window is open while the heat is on at 80 degrees, but they're wearing a mask. Nonsense. They're not teaching them that Pritzker doesn't have the power or authority to mandate anything, that we have laws that are passed by representatives and legislators in the Capitol, and that the laws are sort of supposed to be for the people, by the people, of the people. The representatives represent the people, and then the governor can veto or sign them into legislation. They're not being taught that, because if they were, all the students should know that those mandates were BS. All those students would know this isn't the process. But rather than teach the children how our government, how our Constitution in the United States works and how it works in Illinois, we demonstrated to our children that it doesn't work. Maybe the most dangerous thing in American history. We demonstrated to them that math and common sense don't apply, that statistics don't matter, that you can fool people with percentages and tricky math. Google the book, what's that book? It's like How to Manipulate People with Statistics, How to Lie with Statistics. Google the book, How to Lie with Statistics, that Gates. I get the criminals confused. We got Gates, we got Fauci, we got Pritzker, we got Lightweight, we got them all. Though that book shows you how to manipulate data to get people to think something is terrible. Well, guess what? I drank 50% more. Actually, no, I drank 300% more caffeine today than I did yesterday. Well, I had another cup of coffee. That's one more cup of coffee. So the data was manipulated. Our political and system of government was manipulated, and they didn't teach the children how not to be manipulated. Instead, we demonstrated to them how to be manipulated. It's going to go down as the worst period in our history, because we did this and we gaslit children who 20% of which, they're saying before COVID, 20% of children have mental health issues. 20% in America of our children. Our suicide rates went up, our drug use rates went up, our self-harm rates went up. We gaslit these children and made them less connected to people, more self-conscious. And now we have children that want to wear masks because they say things like, people don't see how ugly I am. This is what our children are telling us. They come home and they say, yeah, we've talked to some other kids. They still wear a mask because they get to hide behind it. And they think they're ugly, or they don't realize how beautiful they are, or they want to cover up their braces, or their acne, or whatever kids are going through. Remember what it was like being a kid, being a teenager? It's not easy. It's really, really tough when you are being manipulated and gaslit by adults. And that's been what's happened. So here we are, and now it's 2022. And what do we do? What do we do with our kids? Well, I'll tell you what we're doing and what we're not doing. We are not sending my youngest, who's a 4th grader, back to public school ever again. And we have been driving 45 minutes to get her to school and 45 minutes to get her back, all the gas money, all the time, and then paying for private school. And that has not been cheap. And it is, see you, Kristen. It is expensive for money-wise. It's a terrible time to be doing it. I'm frankly sick of paying for everything else, because I'm paying everywhere across the board. I'm still paying for schools here that we don't feel do a service to our children. And now I'm paying for a school over there, and we're paying the driver there. She's worth it though. And we believe that strongly. But here's the problem. Not everyone can do it, and we can barely do it. We had to make sacrifices and adjustments. We got rid of car payments. We got rid of other things to make room for this priority. And so we were delighted to find out that there's a new school that aligns with our vision of what what's important for a fourth grader, a fifth grader, an elementary school child now and in the future. Even the school that we're sending our daughter to, as great as it is and as much as we like it and as great as it's been for her, that school was being held accountable by the government in the state of Illinois for mask mandates. And so they were being threatened with their athletic programs by the state and by the government, by our own government that's supposed to represent us. They were being leveraged. This new school that's coming to my neighborhood in Naperville, that we're sending my daughter to, that we were waiting in line first to sign up for because we were so delighted that it was happening. They don't do any of that stuff. They don't make, you can wear a mask if you want. You can do whatever you want for your kid, but at school, they're not going to make them wear a mask. At school, they're not going to foist CRT on them. At school, they're not going to be foisting sex ed or early sex ed or alt sex ed or any sex ed on them. They're going to teach them the subjects like math and science and speech and English and perhaps a foreign language and physical education, and they have athletic programs. And we are over the moon excited about this solution in our area in Naperville. And they built another school in Romeoville. They didn't build the building. They're moving into buildings, but they're building the school with parents and students first. And so the school that I'm talking about that's coming to my neighborhood, our decision, and we're paying to go there. I want as a candidate, and I'm not going to talk politics, but as a candidate, I want all parents to have school choice options. I want the money to follow the student locally and federally. All money should follow the student. And if we were doing that, these lockdowns never would have happened because there wouldn't have been financial incentives for our governors and our Lori Lightweight and the mayors and all these other crooked criminals to get money to pay off their friends who are also crooked criminals in order to take advantage of our children. So the money should follow the student so that we don't have that happen, and so that all parents, no matter how much money, high income, middle income, low income, any income, no income, should be able to send your children to a school that's going to plant the seeds of goodness, education, wholesome ideas, and fundamental concepts of math, science, technology, engineering, trades, special skills, physical education, diet, exercise, and with a background and foundation in faith. Now, does that mean that you have to be a Christian? Could you be a Buddhist or a Muslim or agnostic or non-denominational or atheist? Yes, you could be all those things. Because what I've learned is all the parents that are all those things, all those parents still want the things that many of us parents want, which is not to teach our children to hate our country, not to teach our children to hate themselves. They should be loving our country. They should be loving themselves. They should love each other. And we should be looking at each other as human beings and judging only based on the content of our character, not the color of our skin or our background or our origin. Martin Luther King believed that. I believe that. I think that good common sense people believe that. But our school system is foisting something else on the children. So this school in Naperville has other locations. They have another location in Romeoville. There are original schools in Shanahan. It's Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. My wife and I are sending my daughter there for 5th grade. It's 2 blocks away. We don't have to drive 45 minutes. Stella doesn't have to wake up at the crack of dawn in order for us to get in the car and then drive there. We don't have to drive all the way out there in the afternoon. It's a great school that we were going to. We're going to miss the people there. We're going to miss the great principal and the excellent teachers and the wonderful community there. But we're not going to miss the drive. And we're going to get Stella some more rest. And we're going to have a community that's 2 blocks away. So it's a victory for anybody that lives in this area because we came here for the low taxes and the great schools. We're getting a great school 2 blocks away. It's right on 95th and Book Road in Naperville. It's called Faith Christian Academy of Naperville. Faith Christian Academy. There's another one in Romeoville. They're popping up across the state of Illinois. Pastor Randy Bland is the man behind it. His wife is also, she's the woman behind the man, and maybe he's behind her and she's behind him, and they're both doing it together. And they have a great facility already in Shanahan. In fact, I'm going to give you a couple of things to consider. Tonight, there's a carnival. Oh, good. Diana is, yep. I'm going to share this on the screen. So they have a carnival tonight at 5 o'clock. I'm going there. And Michelle's coming and Stella's coming. And it looks like it's going to be a fun time. And I can't wait. The weather looks like it's great. And this is not a political event. This is not a campaign stop for me. We're going there because we want to be around more great people. We're going there because it's a carnival and it's going to be fun. We're going there because we're going to meet other parents from other locations. I have been on the campaign trail nonstop, and I've had conflicts. So Michelle and some of these founding families for our location here in Naperville have been meeting. Shannon Adcock's been involved. Vesna's been involved. My wife has been involved. And Luke and Julia and some other families with their kids have been involved. And I haven't been there because I've been out talking about trying to save America by getting us school vouchers and having the money follow the students as a representative for the people, for the parents. But tonight, it's all about this carnival, and it's at 5 o'clock in Shanahan, Families of Faith Church, 244 66 West Eames Street in Shanahan. Thank you, Diana Gonzalez, for putting that up there, because not only can I trust the information is right, I didn't have to type it. I can't type and talk at the same time. I'm not a mom, so multitasking is not so much my thing. So thank you. So we're going to be at that carnival tonight. My suggestion to you parents and you children and anybody, grandparents, if you can, come to the carnival tonight. Hang out. Just see what's going on and have fun. And nobody's going to hard sell you or do anything. It's a carnival. And I'll be there, and I'd love to say hello and shake your hand and tell you about anything that we've experienced. But it's all been good. And Randy Bland has been good, and Karen's been good, and Vesna's been great, and Shannon's been great advocating for the school. My wife Michelle has been great. There's a bunch of moms that are involved, and I don't know all of their names yet, but I will. And there are some founding families that are involved. And we would like your family to consider joining us at this school, because it's not just going to be a school. It's going to be a community. It's going to be a place where we can have Girl Scout troops and other extracurricular activities with leadership that doesn't hate us or doesn't try to divide us. Leadership that and community and fellowship from people. Regardless, I mean, there are a lot of Asian and Indian families in the area in Naperville, and not all of them are Christian. That's fine. I know something about almost all of them, and that is they value education like we value education. And education is important, and they want their children to be focused on real math, real science, real history, real English, and real education. We want to teach the children how to think, so they can think for themselves. And we want to keep the other stuff out. Sex ed and CRT and indoctrination needs to stay out. So if you're interested in anything like that, the first thing I would suggest is, no matter where you are in Illinois, if you can get to Shanahan tonight, it's 5 o'clock. There's a carnival. It's going to be outside. It's light until almost 8 o'clock now. It's a pretty nice day out. I think that we're going to have great weather. Shanahan's an awesome community. There's a bunch of cool places to eat in the area. They're probably going to have snacks and food and all that sort of stuff at the carnival. And it's a great place and thing to be a part of tonight. Carnival with the kids, carnival with the grandparents, carnival with the grandkids, whoever, whatever. Bring your wife, bring your kids, bring your husband, bring your family, bring your neighbors. Carnival in Shanahan, and it's on the screen at the Families of Faith Church, 24466 West Eames Street. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So that's the first thing you can do, okay? That's for anybody and everybody anywhere. Thank you to all the people that are watching this and hearting this and thumbing this. This is important. I'm going to tell you something real quick. You've seen the Powerball, when the Powerball or whatever the other one is, when the values get to be huge and everyone starts playing the Powerball and the I can't think what the other one's called, the other lottery, my kids will say, well, what would you do with the money? And my answer is always the same. I'm already doing, for the most part, what I would be doing even if I won the lottery. The only thing that would change is I would start schools. Except I don't have to, because Pastor Randy Bland is already doing it. And Faith Christian Academy is already happening. So I don't have to do it. I've been saying this to my kids for years, because schools are the most important thing in my life, in my worldview, for the future of our country and for our family and the families of America, to keep our country together. So education is so important. Children are so important. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. So the beauty is I don't have to win the Powerball. You don't have to win the Powerball. We may have to win the Powerball to pay our taxes and pay for school, but I'm working on fixing that. And so thing number one is come to the carnival. Thing number two is, if you are in the area of Naperville and or Romeoville, but Naperville, and you're interested in Faith Christian Academy, it's K through high school. So K through 12. And I think they even have preschool programs. These people are going to stand up for our health, our children, our freedom, our sovereignty, and what is right and what is good. They are opening this campus that my daughter's going to right on the corner of 95th and Book. And we are looking for other students and other families who want to be part of the school and the community that goes with that school. So if you already know that you might be interested because you don't like the way things are going in the schools here, whether you're Christian or not, doesn't matter. As long as you believe in education, the thing to do if you're interested in Faith Christian Academy in Naperville is call the campus director, our friend, family friend, wonderful, beautiful person, mother, wife, and just an all-around great person, Vesna. Campus director is Vesna. She's at Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. I'm going to give you her business, her work number, 708-858-0324. I'll give it to you again. Vesna is handling bringing on new families, and she's doing it as a labor of love. Our kids go there, her kids go there. I have this concept in my life and in my family. It's eat your own dog food. Like you got to eat. How can you say this is the good stuff if you're not doing it? We're doing it. My daughter is going to this school. Vesna's daughters are going to this school. The people that are involved believe in this school because we believe in what they stand for, and we know they stand for our children and our priorities. So Vesna is the campus director, 708-858-0324. Now, even if you're not interested in Naperville, and maybe you're thinking about Romeoville or some other areas, she can put you in touch with somebody else. I'm also going to give you the website. If you're interested in Naperville, call Vesna, 708-858-0324. It's at 95th and Book. It's a great campus, great parking. It's a safe area. It's just perfect. So Naperville is great. If you're interested in some of the other towns, or you want to find out, well, is this coming to me? Is it going to be near me? What about us? Where we live over here? It's too far. Naperville's too far. Believe me, I get it. I've been driving 45 minutes in the morning and 45 minutes home every day in highway traffic through Naperville to get Stella to this other school. So other locations and other information, go to grace-naperville.org, grace-naperville.org. There's a form on there. You can click on the contact page and you can find out more about other schools. I'm going to go through some of these comments because I didn't look at them. I kind of went on a rant here, and I'm just going to read through some of these because I know, wow, there's been a lot of them. Common Core is a nightmare, Tim Conrad says. Yes, that's true. I'm going to leave the info about the carnival tonight. If there's nothing else, there's a carnival tonight. Let's go to the carnival. We'll be there. You can be there. Carnivals are fun. We need some fun. We all need to have some fun and do family stuff together. And it sounds like a great event tonight in Shanahan, 5 o'clock, Shanahan, at the address below, Carnival. The open house for the Naperville location, if you're interested in Naperville, call Vesna so that you can be with us at the open house. It's June 15th. Open house at Faith Christian Academy, Naperville. Open house. All are welcome. Come check the place out. Walk around. Ask about the curriculum. Ask about, if you have questions or comments or concerns about things, ask them. I have been to these. You're going to like the answers, and you're going to enjoy the experience. And then you can make a decision. Is this right for my child? Is this right for my family? Is this better off than what I was doing? I think in a lot of situations, you're going to find out that it's better than the options that we have. And then what we need to do is put pressure on our legislators, our senators, state and local, and guys that are running for United States Senate and girls in Congress to make it so the money follows the student. Because we can't let money stand in the way of what is right for the children, although money is an issue, and it's going to be more of an issue with this economy that we're facing. So I understand where that's a concern for people. So I'm going to look at some of these comments here. Common Core was a nightmare, says Tim. Kristen. So Kristen Coppers is running for regional superintendent of public schools in Grundy and Kendall. And she says math is already complicated, simple and short and long division. Yeah, I mean, math is tough, and some people aren't mathematically oriented. So teaching them the wrong way to do math to get the wrong answers is never going to be good. Most adults can't understand more than one mathematical algorithm. Doing that to kids is abusive. I agree. I also am a firm believer that most children don't need to know advanced levels of math. When we have children that are encouraged to go to college to pay lots of money for jobs that don't pay lots of money, and then they take out loans for lots of money with interest rates that are going to cost them lots of money, and then the job doesn't pay a lot of money, or worse yet, they can't get a job for what they studied for. So now they're working in a field they didn't pay lots of money to do, like being a barista. There's nothing wrong with being a barista. There's nothing wrong with digging ditches. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor. I tell my kids, if you're going to do something, you got to be the best at it. You're going to be a janitor. You be the best janitor. Have the cleanest space. Great. You don't have to go to Harvard or DePaul or Illinois State or Iowa to go and become a janitor and get hundreds of thousands of dollars in loans to be a janitor. There's other ways to do it. So we have to foster the idea of trade schools, trades, and fundamental mathematics so that the children know, how do I pay my bills? How do I calculate interest? What could I do with the money from a car payment if I instead invested that in my own retirement? If I put $500 a month into a basic, mutual fund over the course of 10, 15, 20, 30 years, how much money will I have versus buying a car and having a $500 car payment and having a high insurance premium? Yvonne says, our families have had the same issues, bullying, assaults, and CNN indoctrination. I'm so sorry to hear that, Yvonne. They make us, it used to be we'd run into families with 4 children and we'd give them the look like, yeah, another 4-kid family. The Valentinos have more than 4 children. And I've met some of the kids and they're awesome kids. And I'm sorry that anybody's been mistreating anybody. Our children don't deserve to be mistreated for any reason. Diane says, this is why property tax funds need to follow the child so the family can use those funds for what type of schooling is right for their children. Yeah, so there's this sort of propaganda that's being put out by very radical left-wing protectist sort of people that want to keep government big, and they want these re-education camps to become truly high-level re-education camps for our kids. And they'll say things like CRT isn't real, which isn't true. It's real. They'll say that this early sex ed and alt sex ed aren't happening. Also not true. And they'll say that defunding or not defund. Yeah, they'll say that money following the children is going to defund the schools. Well, it gets the teachers' unions and the other unions all riled up because they want control. Now, teachers care about children. I believe that. I know Kristen Coppers is a teacher. She cares about children. And that's all we want. And we know there's teachers that care about children. But we also know that these organizations, these unions, they don't care about that stuff. They care about power. And so they're leveraging their power to fight money following the student and to fight school choice. And they're saying that if we have school choice, that will bankrupt the schools, and we're defunding schools and we're defunding teachers. And that's just not true. What will happen is the public schools will have to get better. When you pull your kid out and Pritzker can't gerrymander the federal money, which he's been doing, and they can't realign and manipulate your kids to get ESSER funds, and they can't change the processes at school and the attendance records and manipulate them so they get their federal funding. When we pull kids out and you take your voucher for your student and you take it to, let's say you decided you want to go to Faith Christian Academy in Naperville, and you put it there, that school grows, they get better, they get more students, they get more resources, they get better teachers. Where are the teachers going to come from? All the good teachers from all the places where they're being marginalized are going to come over. What's going to happen at the schools they left? Are they going to close? No, they're going to have to reevaluate everything. They're going to have to reevaluate their curriculum. They're going to have to reevaluate their staffing. They're going to have to reevaluate their choices. And as my daughter Stella would say, they're going to have to make better choices. And that's what we want. We want them all to get better. We want the public schools to get better. We want private schools to get better. And we want parents and students to have school choice. Everybody deserves to be able to have school choice. Right now, only rich people and middle class people, some of them, have school choice, or people that are so fed up they're willing to do without. People in lower income communities do not have the opportunity for school choice. So when those unions and the politicians and everyone try to talk you out of school choice, what they're really advocating for is only school choice for rich kids, and that doesn't work either. Let's see what other stuff we have here. Nicole says, Diana Gonzalez, they are way out of their budget. We were promised pretty disappointed in how it was planned out so far. Okay, I don't know what that's about, but it might be about locations. Here's the thing. Thanks, Mike. If this stuff was easy, it would just be the way. It's not easy. So I can understand people getting frustrated maybe with, I didn't get a school in my neighborhood, or I'm getting it as a candidate. Well, Matt, you should be doing this. And people like to tell me what I should be doing and where I should be going and how I need to change the website or how I should do a video differently. People are going to tell me this video is too long. I got news for you. I'm not doing this video for me, and I'm not doing this video for notoriety or even for the election. I'm doing this video because there are other parents out there that don't know about Faith Christian Academy, and they don't know it's coming to Naperville. There are other parents out there that don't even know how reasonable and affordable it can be, especially with reasonable schools like this one, and how much it really is going to cost you if you stay where you are. So you might say, like, well, money's tight and the economy and this and that and the other thing. How much is it going to cost you? These are the questions I had asked. Believe me, we pay a lot of money in taxes here. I didn't want to put any of my children in private school. That's why we moved here. And we, as another tax besides inflation, we get the Naperville price for everything. We can't get anything done here without getting a higher price, because everybody looks at it and goes, oh, it's Naperville, we're going to charge more. These people all have money. No, we're all working here. Well, not all of us, but we're working here. We're working here. And my dollar, it goes just as far as yours, and that's not very far. So money is an issue for the middle class right now. But what I did is I assessed, what's it going to cost me to keep Rocco at that school where he got slapped 6 or 8 times or whatever nonsense. Once was too many. Anything more than that was disgusting and despicable. And then being lied to. What's that going to cost me? What am I going to teach my son? What am I teaching the rest of my kids? What else could happen there? What kind of priority is my son going to be when that happens to him? And then he's treated as nothing happened. And the guy that did it, there's no repercussions. and there's no accountability for the administration. What is the price that I'm going to pay? How much is it going to cost me to keep my daughter in a school where they can't wear coats because there's no place to put them, or they're being forced to mask for a disease that 99.97% of people survive and virtually all children survive? What is that going to teach her when she's in her formative years? So to me, this money, this garbage money that they're printing, this stuff, it's going to be worth less tomorrow. It's garbage. It's going to be worth less tomorrow. One thing is for certain, it's going to go down in value. This paper fiat is garbage, which is another thing that we have to fix. In the meantime, what can I do with this that will get me better results? And I will put every one of these I have into my kids and their freedom. So it's an easy decision. And so if that means that we have to go to Portillo's less, or I can't go to Dunkin' Donuts or whatever it is, or we got to cancel Netflix or whatever. We don't have a car payment. I get rid of all our car payments. I bought used cars. We have 2 used cars and no car payments because private school is like a car payment. So boom, problem solved. Now I'm moving on because that's a priority to me. I realize that that's not an option for everybody, which is why I'm fighting on another front to make it so that the money always follows the kids. So 75% of our property tax that goes to our education goes to wherever you want to educate your kid. That's how it should be. And then the federal money should also follow your kid. They spend a lot of money on each one of our kids, and we deserve to have that money because it's our money. It's already your money anyway. So my advice to the parents considering this is come to the carnival, join us, have some fun, see what you think, see how it is, and maybe even don't consider the school yet if you're not ready for that. Just come to the carnival. Carnival is tonight. I lost the post from Diane, but with the details, I'm going to see if I can find it. With the details, it's in Shanahan, and you could probably rewind the video if you're looking for it, or maybe somebody can post it in the comments. And in fact, I guess she did already. So the carnival is tonight at 5:00 in Shanahan. You could just Google Families of Faith and you'll find, oh, there it is again. Look at her. Such an awesome person. Thank you so much. Okay, so Diane is there for it. Thank you. 5:00, Families of Faith Church, 24466 West Eames Street in Shanahan. The people, it's one of those things when you travel south of I-55 and you get south of 80. It's more like a lot of people like Florida and are talking about red states. Shanahan is like being in a red state. Everybody's just sweet as pie, and they're good people, and they're smart. They didn't put up with a lot of this stuff, and they're there doing what they've always done. And so this is going to be a fun night. 5:00 tonight. Open house is June 15th for Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. And the number to call for Faith Christian Academy in Naperville, if you're thinking about considering sending your kids there, a kid, the kids, whoever, campus director is our friend Vesna, 708-858-0324. So I kind of got on a rant there because I saw a comment about people getting frustrated, maybe that the schools weren't in the right location or whatever. My point there was, nobody has to do any of this. These, Randy Bland and Karen and the people there, I think they were planning on retiring. I don't think they planned on starting and founding new schools. It's a lot of work. And so the people have to do some work too. I've been telling this to voters also. The people have to do work. You can't just elect people and expect them to do the work. You can't just have a school and expect them to do the work. The parents, the citizens have to hold people accountable. Tim Conrad says, Illinois is a red state. So-and-so can prove it, but nobody can understand him. You know what? Voter integrity, all that stuff, voter integrity, building schools, all this stuff. It's up to the people. You have to get involved. Parents have to get involved. We can't sit around and just be like, well, they didn't open a school here. Well, you know what? You may have to drive a little bit to go to the one you like, and then have some faith and trust in God. If you believe in God, that, something will open up closer. That's what happened to us, for the last 2 years. This stuff is just like, I might as well light it on fire. It's just going out the window. Gas, even before gas prices went up, driving 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, paying for private school. Oh my gosh. Then waiting in the car line for 30 minutes, burning up 2 to 3 hours a day, depending on what's going on, to get your kid to a private school that you're paying for. What are we going to do? Cry about it? What's important? So you may not get exactly the school you want, exactly where you want it. We're supposed to have that from our government. So ask yourself, why aren't they doing it? And what are we willing to do about it? It's their job to have schools for us. They're not doing it. Don't get angry with the people that are trying to make change and affect change and out there doing it. That's kind of like these people that they grab the cell phone. Something's happening, there's an accident, and they take their phone out and they start videotaping it or watching it. Don't be one of those people that stands there and points and says, well, how come they're not doing this? Go help. Go get your 2 hands and walk over there and help. You want more schools? Help Pastor Randy Bland start a new school. You want better reps? You want better representatives or better government? Go get involved in government. You want a better school board? Go run for school board. You want a better Senate? Run for United States Senate or Congress. Help, or if you realize those things are a lot of work, help the people do that. Help the people that are doing that. Make phone calls on their behalf. Vesna has taken phone calls for Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. You think that anybody's retiring early doing that or getting rich doing that? You think that parents have all this free time on their hands? No, everyone's busy. She's taking calls for families that want to join Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. By the way, I'm not on the board. I don't work for them. I am just a family, a guy that is involved, and we got in early because we know how important it is to us. So I'm not speaking on behalf of them. I'm just advocating. I'm trying to share with you the issues we've experienced and share what I view as a solution, one of the various solutions, and that is Faith Christian Academy in Naperville. Campus Director is Vesna. Vesna is tops. We are big fans of Vesna. 708-858-0324. 708-858-0324. I'm sure that anybody that wants to volunteer or work with Pastor Randy Bland and any of the people involved, everybody would welcome help. Everyone is looking for help. And whether that's sharing or commenting or posting or getting the word out or passing out flyers or answering the phone or doing whatever, every little bit helps along the way. So we'll see you at the carnival tonight. I'm going to go and I'm going to stop talking now. It's been an hour, but this deserves your attention because I know what parents are going through. And just because we're going through it and those other parents aren't, they don't see it, they don't get it, doesn't mean it's not real. It's real to us. They're our kids. We get to decide what's acceptable. It's our country. We get to decide what's acceptable. And just because maybe it's not fashionable right now, which I don't really think is the case. I just think it's very quiet because people have been brainwashed into being quiet and they've been conditioned to be quiet. You can't even really talk about stuff on the internet. And where are you going to talk about it in person? Tonight at the carnival, we can talk about it. Carnival, Families of Faith, Christian, Families of Faith Church, 24466 West Eames Street. Come here. We'll see you there. That's what's happening. And if you already know you want to be involved with the Naperville location, Faith Christian Academy in Naperville, call the campus director, Vesna, 708-858-0324. 708-858-0324. I'm not affiliated with the school in any other way except to say that we're parents and we're sending our children there. And I thought you should know about it. And I thought you should know about what we've been through and how we arrived at this being one of the solutions. And we will also hold this school accountable. We're not just going to be like, oh, they've got it. No, we're going to stay involved. That's part of this community. That's part of why I'm reaching out to people who might be like-minded, because we are the ones that have to maintain this school. And everyone is involved from the beginning. The parents are involved in what clubs and organizations are there. The parents are involved in picking colors and mascots and everything. So get involved with us if you'd like to, and call Vesna at 708-858-0324. Either way, hopefully we'll see you tonight at the carnival. And I don't know if there'll be cotton candy, but we'll see you by the cotton candy, and maybe there'll be a Ferris wheel or something, some animals. I don't know. Never been to the carnival before, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure Stella is looking forward to it. So if you see me there, please grab me and say hello, and let's talk. Until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. And I would be remiss if I did not tell you I'm running for United States Senate on principles and platforms, as we just discussed: children, medical freedom, health freedom, the Constitution, America first, and common sense are the premier concepts that I'm standing up for. Our Constitution and what is right in the world. And if you'd like to find out more about me, you can go to dubiel4senate.com, DUBIEL for senate.com. Goodbye. Big dating game kiss for you. Goodbye.